The theme tonight is facing one's fears. And I realize one of the great fears for me is talking in front of the people. Yeah, fear, I was thinking about it, coming up to the plane. Fear, there's this kind of fear that's real fear. You go into the woods and you meet a bear. Yeah, 10 years. Anyway, that's a real fear. Let's see, jumping out of an airplane would be a real fear. Someone holding a gun to your head, that's a very real fear. There's action, there's this thing happening, and you're scared. That's real. But there's another kind of fear that I sort of occupy myself with, and it's the future fiction fears, the what if. Does anybody have any idea what I mean? No. Okay, good. Well, I'll teach you about it. I had a recurring nightmare for a while, and the nightmare went like this. I was home, but the house was, I recognized it as my house in the dream. This is my home, that was fine, but there was something a little bit out of whack about the house. Sort of like Salvador Dali had been in on the weekend arranging the furniture and hanging a new wall treatment or kind of a funhouse mirror or something. So I had this sense of uneasiness just going through the house, and I get to one place and I am just hit with this, I think abject fear would be the word. The hair on my neck, I'm standing in front of a door. I can hear nothing, see nothing, but there's a door there, and behind that I know there's something really awful, something really evil, and the hair on my neck is up, and my skin is hot and cold and tingly. Anyone? Anyone? No? You don't get that, huh? Maybe I'm saying a little more than I should, but my heart's thumping and I'm out of breath and I'm just really petrified. And I think I should open the door and face the fear. But I don't have the courage, so I scoot down the hall and I wake up. I've had that dream several times. I'm awake now, and a friend calls me and asks me to please help him hang a show over at Hakusa Sonso, which is over near Ginkakuji. It's a lovely gallery, garden, it's a lovely place. And so I said, of course, I'll help you. I went over there, and he said, the paintings are upstairs, help me get them. Upstairs, it's easier to describe that from outside the building. If you look up at the roof, there's, you've seen them in Japan, it's sort of almost like a little gazebo room up there, windows all around the outside. I think people have seen those. It's the room that you say, if I lived here, I would use that for my bedroom or my study or my yoga room or studio, whatever. That's the room they were in, the high, dry, catbird seat room. To get to that room through the structure, through the building, you have to go up a very narrow staircase bordering on ladder. Usually stairs you go up with your feet like this, straight forward, but this one you had to kind of go up with a crab walk sideways. Your feet couldn't fit on these very narrow, shallow steps, and you're holding onto the rail. I'm halfway up this narrow, claustrophobic staircase in an awkward position, and I feel the hair on my neck go up, and I feel my skin get a little tingling, a little flutter in my heart. And I recognize it as exactly the same fear I felt in that nightmare. It was not near as strong. It was sort of fear light. It was, if someone was burning an incense, a familiar incense 3 rooms away, and you just got a little whiff of it. So, oh, I know that incense. Well, I know that fear. It was fine. It passed, it was over, that was the end of it. The show was a success. We took down the paintings, no problem. But I started to think about it later. I said, now this is the first time that fear has visited me on this side. Fear, night lords, boogeymen, ghosts, goblins, things that go bump are okay when they're on the other side. In the dream world, we don't like them, they don't feel good, but we accept that they live in that world. But now, this guy, in the parlance of the 60s, he was bopping on my turf, you know? I didn't like that song. So I thought, the next opportunity, I have to face him. In fact, I thought, I'm going to face him now. And then I learned something about my fears, and that is that, like an unsavory fringe friend who borrows money from you and never intends to pay it back, you can never find your fears when you're looking for them. Okay, but when you're in a weak moment, they'll find you and use you. So fear, when you run towards it, it runs away, and when you run away from it, it comes to you. So I knew looking for it was not going to work. it didn't take long before I had the dream again. I was in Nagano. Some people there would go up to Nagano to a lake I go to, and on a wonderful day, sailing, swimming. It was a great day. I was tired. I went to bed that night, and oops, okay, it's the teeny weenies. It's the ghosts and goblins. I had the dream. Salvador had been back. The place was a little bit different again. I was feeling uneasy. Walk through the hall, and I get to this room, and there it happens again. But when I say, I think abject fear, it was the first time I really knew what abject fear was. It was this panic. It was survival fear, this visceral fear just hit me in the stomach. When I was a kid, I used to go to watch the Vincent Price movies, the black and white, The Tingler, The House of Wax, The House of Usher, and they scared the crap out of me when I was a kid, but nothing like this. This really took me. And it was worse because I felt I had made up my mind I had to face it. I opened the door, I sort of opened the door and then opened my eyes in that split-second order, and coming across the room is this spinning, twisting, spiraling, horrible buzzsaw, green fire electric energy, just directly at me. It didn't look scary. It wasn't scary. What was scary about it was this feral abandon with which it was to attack me. It just only wanted to get me. It was really frightening. And I, reflexively, I reached down and I grabbed it like that. And I felt all the life coming out, all the energy just coming out. And I woke up, and my wife was sitting there reading, and she said, "What's the matter?" Her wives had a way of understanding something's up. And I said, "Oh man," my wife is not a man, I just sometimes call her. Raise your hand. I said, "Oh man, I had that dream," and I told her the story I just told you about the dream. And she said, "Wait a second, I'm getting mixed messages here. You're sounding like you had a really scary dream and you were really petrified when you had it, but you also seem like happy." I said, "Well, no, happy is not the right word. I'm relieved. I finally faced this guy. I finally faced it and I won. It no longer owns me. It no longer controls me." She said, "What was it?" It was Gumby. Now, I know about Gumby. Gumby is the most, is the word insipid, puerile.
From the 60s.
I mean, it's the first claymation from the 1950s. Walked in a strange way. It was poorly done. The stories were just trivial. Gumby had a voice like a bad imitation of a poor rendition of Mickey Mouse. Just horrible. I used to watch Gumby as a kid on Saturday night cartoon days because he was in between two good cartoons, but he never had an effect on me. A great adventure would be Gumby baking a loaf of bread with too much yeast. You know, that would be a tension thing. Or Gumby getting caught in the rain and having to find a leaf for an umbrella or something like that. So Gumby was really a non-entity. It was banal, it was inane, it was submental. So why did I cast Gumby in this most important role in my nightmare? Because I did choose all the roles there. It's my dream. I chose the Salvador Dali. I chose the green monster. It was all my making. And why did I choose Gumby that had so little, nothing? And that's precisely the reason. Because those future fears that if and when they do happen to manifest or materialize, would you say, that's usually what happens. You say, "Is that what I was afraid of?" "Oh, no, this is nothing. This is nothing." So I'm going to leave you with some words of wisdom. And please be aware, wisdom has lots of levels. The next time you feel like fear has a little control over you, and I'll tell you how you can find it out. If you can't sleep, you're laying in bed, and this thing is going over and over in your head, and you're frightened, and you can't sleep, and you're thinking, perhaps, what if I fail? What if I don't get the job? What if I get the job? The hippies laughed. What if I get, anyway, if ever that happens to you, there are 3 words you can say, and you should say them, you just say them out loud, and if you can muster up a good ethnic flavor to them. I use a nice Jewish New York immigrant thing. If you say it like this, you say, it's only Gumby. Thank you.